Coming up on Up at Noon, our first look at Captain Marvel looks like something from another dimension. Geralt is being played by Superman, and SpiderMan is out tomorrow, and we can finally talk about it. All that and more right now on Up at Noon Live.
Hello and welcome to Up at Noon Live. I'm Brian Altano. This is my best friend in the world, Matt Scoville.
Aw, you're so sweet.
I know, it's gonna get worse. Up at Noon is our weekly comedy variety show here at IGN. We cover pop culture, toys, fart machines, everything. It's all bad. We're available on Twitch, Roku, Apple TV, Xbox One, PS4, IGN.com, obviously, and YouTube. So wherever you're watching this, I hope you're comfortable. If you don't like the platform you're on, find a better one.
Consult your local listings today and find a better platform in your area. I know a lot of people were actually just tuned in for our big Spider-Man live stream. We just had Jonathan Dornbush and Barrett Courtney playing Spider-Man on PS4, one of the most anticipated games of the year.
Yep.
We're going to be talking about that a whole bunch, among other things. We've got some cool Spider-Man toys here.
Just a heads up, we will do everything we can, and we will maintain our allegiance to you, and we will stay as spoiler-free as possible. The game is out in around 7.5 hours from right now. Who's counting? You probably, maybe if you're into it, you preloaded already on your PS4, which is a thing you can do. Max and I have finished the game. We've put ample time into it. We have a thing going up on YouTube today for Podcast Beyond, which is about 30 minutes of us having a very deep, spoiler-free discussion about it.
If you want like a serious, long-form discussion about the game itself, that's the thing to check out.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about some very trivial Spider-Man nonsense.
Yeah.
Horse apples, if you will.
Yeah, today we're going to talk about some cool stuff that we found around the city that's not really Easter eggy, but just kind of some interesting stuff that's fun to look at.
But first, one of the biggest things to drop this week was Entertainment Weekly dropped the first photos from Captain Marvel, which is the next big MCU movie. It's going to let us know what happened after, I guess actually before Infinity War. And this is Alison Brie as Captain Marvel herself. This is Carol Danvers. She looks exactly how you might expect. They didn't give her the mohawk. Maybe they will eventually. But it's a costume. There it is. Now there's a couple of things.
It's cool.
Yeah, there's some all right stuff here. The thing I want to talk about, we also get a young Nick Fury, which is he's got two eyes because it's a prequel. You see. I'm so tired of this discussion. I feel like it's stuff we go back and forth about that.
He got a cut over his eye, which means they almost took his eye.
Yeah,
but
apparently people are just always poking him in the eye and doing stuff at his eyes and everything.
So obviously he's de-aged here, as he will be for most of the movie. If you saw
Iron Man 3,
and also which is the one?
I don't know.
No, where he was de-aged completely.
Don't do
that's
that.
Terrifying.
That happens in Avengers 4. That's actually a major spoiler there.
Was it Civil War where Robert Downey Jr. was de-aged and he was
Civil War?
He had the weird Santa hat on and it just like looked weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
But they did a great job. Way better than I would say.
This is going to be interesting though, because I mean it's kind of the same deal you have with Robert Downey Jr. because Sam Jackson was in movies in 1993. We actually know him very well. He was in a ton of movies. He was in Jurassic Park at that age, so we know what he's supposed to look like. So obviously, it's not just like CGing someone to look younger. But that's not the thing I want to talk about. There's something I really do want to talk about here, which is not that. I don't.
No, can we talk about this real quick?
Do we have to?
Hey, does this movie take place in the 90s or what?
You can't spell 90s without 9-inch nails.
Yeah. I honestly wish she was watching Snick.
Yeah.
And eating Lunchables and just really hitting the 90s thing in the nose.
I feel like I don't know. This is, when you're I get excited about big new superhero movies. Anyway.
You know what she should have? She should have a Family Matters hat.
Yeah, I think that hat should be backwards if they're really going for the 90s.
Yep.
Anyway.
Kimmy Gibbler from Full House is here.
I do want to talk about is, of course, the Skrulls.
Yeah.
Which is a huge thing. That's the most exciting photo, hands down, easily. The Skrulls are one of the most sort of prolific, bad guys in the Marvel Universe. There's the whole, Skrull-Kree War. That's one of the first big crossover events. These guys, I don't really know how I feel about it. I immediately saw this photo and I was like, well, that's, they certainly are at the beach.
Are they never nudes?
I don't know.
What's going on here?
I don't think I've seen a nude Skrull. I think they do get naked.
I lost some weight a couple years ago. I used to be, t-shirt in the pool body type.
Okay, yeah, but
this is a different story though. This is a full-on leather.
There's a lot that you could kind of take away from this. I think at face value, it's great that the Skrulls are in Captain Marvel. I think that's awesome. But before I could even properly formulate my thoughts about this popped up on Twitter, which is the fact that they look exactly like Piccolo did in Dragon Ball Evolution, the live-action film that we all try desperately to forget.
Yeah, so Twitter user Boss Logic found this and put these together, and it is completely spot on.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, the Skrulls have been around for a while, and they're not the first characters to be purple and green in their, clothing choice and pointy ear, decisions. I'm glad that they've got the Skrull chins. I feel like they're not accentuated enough, but I think they're probably trying to avoid that whole Thanos effect. But let's be real here. They look like Piccolo did in that bad film, as played by the dude from Buffy. Yeah, James Marsters. So I don't know. I feel like I'm a little bit let down on the sort of the Skrull appearance. But again, it's a photo of a bunch of aliens at the beach, and that's how we get excited about superhero movies these days. We see a photo in the magazine. So shout out to Entertainment Weekly for showing us Skrulls at the beach. That is the biggest news of the week, that they look like Piccolo.
Go back to that beach shot again. They really look like one of them lost something and then 4 of them tried to find it but couldn't.
Yeah, or they just formed the worst band.
Yeah, this does look like a 90s... Yeah, like a 90s album cover, which I think is what they're going for, right?
Reenacting like a Third Eye Blind press photo or something. Anyway, moving on. Other big news this week. This was actually something that got hinted at in an IGN interview. Our pal Daniel Krupa interviewed what's his face, Henry Cavill. I think he was talking to him about Mission Impossible, and he was like, "Hey, you're a big gamer. What are you playing these days?" And he's like, "I just replayed The Witcher." And he's like, "Would you ever play Geralt?" He said, "Sure, I would love to, but that's not an official thing." And then a month later, he went, "Just kidding. I am in fact playing Geralt of Rivia in the upcoming Netflix Witcher show," which is cool. I feel like I'm not wild about Henry Cavill. I feel like he was never the right pick for Superman. I think he's a better pick for Geralt of Rivia. But I want to point out, a lot of people are like looking at this guy and they're like, yes, he's muscular, but is he the right pick for Geralt? Look at the color of his hair and his eyes. It's the wrong color. Well, if you pay attention to how Hollywood works, you'll know that they just recently had to digitally remove a mustache from him to play Superman in Justice League. So clearly the special effects are great. And using computers, I've actually created a rendition of what he might look like as Geralt of Rivia. Now this is going to be, I want you to let you know, this is still the same photo of Henry Cavill, but reimagined as Geralt. Are you ready?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can see it. I don't know about,
too.
I'm on board.
Do you think that these prosthetics are going to get expensive? Because he will have to get the X's digitally connected to his titties, or he'll have to actually get implants.
Maybe. That's good. And
the eyes, I think, is going to be, you can do that with contacts.
Look at that. He already even has a necklace.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to get the whole amulet. You can just get the pendant part. And then there it is.
And we want to let you guys know this is official costume photos. So
it is not.
These have been worked on.
It's not real.
Yeah, Netflix said that this show is going to be their least expensive show in history. They're going to spend $7 on the whole show.
They're actually going to have him narrate this JPEG that I made. They're going to have him talk over it. Anyway, no,
this is great.
So this show is still a ways off. It's going to be 8 episodes, which I think is good because I feel like Netflix series frequently they get kind of too long-winded. You having fun there?
Yeah. Why would they?
We can just leave that image up there. I think it's good to look at it. It's Henry. It's not
Did you start like a good Photoshop and then go, this is too hard, I'm going to go the other way?
I think a lot of people have done good Photoshops already. And I said, why would I do that? Why don't I just do...
I am the Witcher.
You can find a picture...
to do magical spells and ride the horse all
let's
over
role
the
play.
wonderful land.
Ah, Geralt, it is I, Yennefer, the Enchantress.
That's nice to meet you, Yennefer, the Enchantress. I can't wait to make out with you. This is going to be a wonderful afternoon.
Geralt, put clothing on and get out of the bathtub. There's manticores abound.
I am frozen in this beach dock and my mouth hurts a lot. I can't stop staring into the abyss.
All right, people are just there. All right, we're done here.
Well, when you cut to me, it screws up the whole. Thanks a lot.
Anyway, check out that show on Netflix. We're
going
to need many more special
That'll
effects
be
to
great.
make you look like a heroic character.
I don't want to do any of that.
There
You're
it is.
awful.
There's someone who spent time in Photoshop. Not me. That was Jordan Parkhurst made that. Anyway, thanks for pulling that up. I used the pencil tool to draw on the document. There it is. All right, stop showing that picture. So big news this morning. THQ Nordic, which is I think a subsidiary of Deep Silver, I want to say. In fact, a resurrection of the THQ publisher itself, has reached out and scooped up the remains of the Kingdoms of Amalur brand from 38 Studios, which, if you're unfamiliar, was founded by the baseball player Curt Schilling, and subsequently, almost bankrupted the state of Rhode Island or something.
Yeah.
And then went under, and they were working on an MMO that was going to be sort of set in that universe, but that's... A lot of people are really excited about that. It's weird because when that game came out, I remember people being like, "Yeah, it's fine," And then out of the woodwork, everyone's just really pumped about this. So that's great news for Kingdoms of Amalur fans.
Well, so I think at the very least, what we'll see first from this IP is probably a port, like an HD remaster, maybe dragging and dropping it and putting it on Switch.
That would be pretty cool.
Would be cool.
Yeah.
It'll run. I mean, they're running, the last gen THQ games already with the Saints Row that's coming out soon for Switch. So
that could be nice.
That's an option.
Anyway, great news for fans of that IP. Another IP that everyone is very excited about, and of course the year of 2018 is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Maybe you've heard of it. They put out a controller in honor of the chicken dinners, which is grease-proof. This is a promotional kind of gag done by Xbox Australia. They do some funny stuff. They've done like gaming snuggies. They've done like a lot of goofs down there. But in honor of the fact that when you're good at the game, you get chicken dinners in the game. I guess the idea is that if you're really good at it, you eat a lot of chicken with your hands. So they made this custom finish Xbox One controller that has like a polymer on it or something that will make the grease not ruin it. It's really gross. That's
awful. I will say that again, we do the show at noon in California, and I'm always starving.
Yeah.
And so even seeing the chicken being suffocated by that controller makes me hungry.
I can't tell if that's photoshopped or if they actually bought a bunch of chicken and put the controller on it.
What? No, that's real. That's a real picture.
I don't know. Look at the pixels. Anyway, moving on. Other big news this morning is the Predator is getting his own Chia pet. NECA, who make a bunch of great toys and collectibles
Get
and all that.
Get that off of the screen. That's awful. Don't put that on our show.
No, look at it. Look at the picture.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Look at that terracotta mouth.
If that's too frightening for you,
he doesn't even grow hair like that.
That's actually what his hair looks like before he puts all those little rings in there.
What are you talking about? That looks awful.
He has to put in a lot of product to make
Chia
it
Pet Predator. Those logos don't
the Chia Predator. And then because reasons, I guess, people sometimes have, I don't know, $20 that they don't know what to do with. They're also, that's nightmarish. They also made Dustin from Stranger Things, which makes more sense as a Chia pet, but still isn't. Stop showing this. That's horrible. So yeah, that's the news. That's all of the news from this week.
This looks like one of the things you climb in Uncharted.
I really hate it. That boy is gonna have they're gonna have to diagnose new complexes that he's gonna have. Like a boy who had a Chia pet. He's like everyone loves Dustin, but like. I feel like there's they make fun of his teeth on the show a bunch, and then he shows up, and like, that's gonna be an interesting trajectory. That boy is he's like 14 now or something? They're doing Stranger Things season 3, he's in it, he's a Chia pet. They didn't make a Chia pet of the monster from that show, they just made it of the boy.
They made a Chia pet of the Predator. What is going on over there?
I feel really bad for people who are just tuning in this show, being like,
hold on, I'm
here for SpiderMan gameplay.
If you're old like us,
these idiots.
If you're old like us, Chia Pets used to be advertised during daytime television when you were sick or unemployed or injured.
Why did you shout that like a lawyer?
Because that's what they did during the daytime TV. If you've been injured by a slippy fall in your store, and they would advertise Chia Pets to old people, and it would go chia, and now they're just like, hey, if you're young and you love the Predator and Stranger Things, now's your chance. That's just a wreck.
On a more depressing note, Burt Reynolds passed away.
Oh. Well, Burt Reynolds died, apparently, so if you're just hearing that, we just heard that too.
God, that sucks.
That sucks.
Yeah, that does suck.
Go watch Boogie Nights.
Yeah, Boogie Nights is a good-ass movie.
All time.
So good now.
Watch Boogie Nights.
All right, so moving on to more bright, wonderful things. Spider-Man. One of the biggest games of the year. Everyone's very excited about it. There's a lot of great stuff to talk about it. We are going to steer very clear of spoilers. This shouldn't be a spoiler. It takes place in New York City. Manhattan, they call it. The Big Apple.
Yes.
The city that never sleeps. The city by the bay.
No, that's not.
That's not? Okay. Well, you're the New Yorker.
Yeah. So anyway, obviously Spider-Man takes place in Manhattan. Spider-Man for PS4. Specifically Manhattan. It doesn't really let you dance around the outer boroughs yet. Maybe it will. And when you think about New York City, you think about the Empire State Building. You think about the GW Bridge. You think about the Statue of Liberty. And you think about pizza. There's a lot of stuff here that's just very New York. And from a top level, they nailed it. But what I'm really impressed about about Spider-Man for PS4 is that Insomniac didn't just get the top level stuff from New York City. They really dug in and they got some stuff that feels very New York. I grew up around New York City in New Jersey, and I lived in New York City for many years for art school, which paid off really well because now I'm on this show. The #1 place to use an art degree.
It's sort of like performance art.
Yeah, so
Just a way.
I used Peter Parker's in-game camera to take a bunch of cool shots of Manhattan because when I was playing this game at the time, photo mode had not launched yet. And so let's go through 18 of our favorite little New York City details that you can find in Spider-Man for PS4. Starting with...
The Empire State Building?
No, everyone knows that one. Keep going. Hot dog carts. They're everywhere. I love that this game has these because they're on every corner. It says New York's best. They have all the weird other things that they sell there, like churros and pretzels and generic sodas, which is great. It's obviously this hot dog cart is parked in front of a Broadway play called Wolf and Sheep, which is not real.
If you're unfamiliar with these hot dog carts, you could look at this and be like, man, they really need to fire their graphic designer. But that is accurately bad graphic design for that hot dog cart.
Max and I have a picture very drunk in front of one of these outside of the Jacob Javits Center a couple years ago at New York Comic Con.
Hell yeah.
They even got the stinky steam that comes out. Hot dog carts are really funny in New York City because families own them and park them in one spot and then never give them up. And so basically they have to watch them 24/7. So I'm glad they're in this game. Next, rats. Filthy rats.
The mascot of the hot dog cart.
The animal of New York. There aren't a lot of animals in New York, but there aren't even less in this game. But they did nail the few that you do see walking around a lot. And one of them is rats. And rats are all over this game. They're just everywhere. There's a lot of animals in Spider-Man that are men. Like rhinos and stuff like that.
Yep.
There's octopuses. But in terms of real animals, there are rats all over Spider-Man, so keep an eye out for them. You can't kill them or drive over them.
They just kind of run around. They kind of remind me of the rats in South Park.
Yeah.
Like they're sort of, everyone's getting mad about like puzzle lighting physics or like puddle lighting physics in this game or whatever.
Yep.
But I'm like, I think they should have mocap more rats.
It's true.
They're kind of wonky.
Next. Squirrels.
The rat of the tree.
Okay, no, so everyone's like, okay, yeah, squirrels, everyone has squirrels. New York City has dark brown squirrels that look like they've been in like Mary Poppins chimney pipes for their whole life. They're horrible. I love them. They're basically long rats or elegant rats. They're disgusting. They're all over the city. I was playing the game yesterday and I had this awesome moment where there was a woman standing there and she was like, "Hi, Spider-Man," and a rat and a squirrel were just scurrying around underneath her and they were sort of like, I think they were fornicating. I can't tell.
I don't know if you can say fornicating on the internet.
Too late. Next. Timberlands. The #1 shoe of New York City. Every single year in New York, it rains and then snows specifically for 7 months straight, creating 3.5 deep trenches on the corner of every single sidewalk in the city. And the only way to traverse these things without getting completely soaked is by wearing Timberland boots. And they were all over the city, and they're all over this game. So that's a nice touch.
Nice.
Next. Pigeons. Rats of the sky.
The squirrel of the roof.
And cops standing around not doing a lot.
There you go.
So there's two.
Pigeons are like a major thing in this game.
Yeah.
Not like story-wise. That's not a spoiler. There are a lot of pigeons.
There's a lot of pigeons because you're up high, and it's a good indication that they're there with you. So keep going. Bootleg-ass mobile stores, such as DK Mobile, that has restaurant stuff in it inside, apparently.
That's kind of odd.
It's very odd.
A little bit suspicious.
But New York City is the #1 city in the world to sit down for a nice meal and sign up for a 6-month contract that has no attachments that you can use for your burner phone that you throw in the trash when people are chasing you. So, also liquor stores that look like they're out of business but are somehow still open. How is this even a thing? And it has barn doors. What?
Do you think the barn doors are accurate to the New York experience?
I think so.
Like a nice,
this is so New York. It is a yellowed out liquor store that says, "Oh yes, we're open," but there's also like people have been peeling it off. There's probably gunshots inside of it. It's great. This is a good place to get like malt liquor and country club 40s.
I like that you took this with the in-game camera, so it's got that that bluish filter on it.
Wire.
It looks like that Instagram filter where you got a crush on somebody and you zoom in.
Yep. Next. These things, these are very New York. They're like mini cop trucks that they use to give out parking tickets. They're dirty as hell. They've only been cleaned on the first day, and then people, I think, just throw mud at them. Max, you looked up the name for these things?
Yeah, they're based on like an Italian vehicle that's called like a like a Piaggi ape.
Yeah.
And you laughed very hard when I showed you. There's a whole Wikipedia page. There's like those little Italian farm trucks, but here in America, they're called Interceptor 3 scooters.
Yep. So I don't know. Call them what you will. They're here in this game.
They're here to intercept parked cars.
Next. Just filthy trash everywhere.
Hey, there's the rat again.
And just that rat. And also, if you look on the side, there's those awful grates that one of my friends fell in when I lived there in 2001. Like, it just collapsed and he fell into the basement of a bodega. That rat loves that trash. People just leave, like, lawn furniture on the street. I miss New York.
New York has a wonderful grime to it.
It does. Next. Bodegas that only have, like, 6 things and are probably a front for drugs. This is a great example of a corner store in New York City. They sell potted plants and bootleg toothpaste from like a company called like Bolgate. And then there's like some old ass milk and there's an ATM. And then they sell chips that are like 25 cents and probably quarter waters.
I like this. Again, it's one of those things you look at this and you're like, man, they really half-assed this store. And it's like, nope, the store, it's a realistically half-assed store.
The only thing the store is missing is a cat with one eye that sleeps on like all the snacks.
Yeah.
Next. Impounded cars. The boot. New York City is full of these cars that have just been parked for like 6 months that are covered in parking tickets and have this impound thing. And the only way to get this thing off of your car in real life is to pay the tickets. And some people just never do, and they just leave their car there. So,
yeah, there's that wonderful Simpsons episode where Homer gets the boot and then tries to drive, and then he tries to bite it off with his teeth. Which, All right.
Next. Breakdancers. Specifically, if you go to Harlem in this game, or Spanish Harlem, you can actually watch breakdancing crews, and it's really cool because they cycle in and out. They have this dirty old pieces of cardboard that they breakdance on. It's very rocksteady crew and very 80s and 90s. I really miss this, so this is really cool that they threw this in there.
I love that you found this in the game, and they do like a whole routine.
Yeah, they all cycle through, and like you can watch them for a couple minutes. It's really awesome.
That's neat. Is there like a button to like give them money or anything?
No, nothing like that.
All right.
Pawn shops. That you can basically get your check cashed in like 6 days early. I was at my brokest ever when I lived in New York, and one day I got a check for $140, and I brought it to a check cashing joint, and they gave me $100. But I couldn't wait the 4 days to cash it, so I lost $40. But I had $100 that day. This is a great place to steal jewels and then bring them to, and get some money for it.
I like that this guy's just standing in front of it like he's the owner, and he's really proud of this business. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Fast cash.
There we
buy
go.
Gold. Next. Very, very bad tourist shops that sell personalized license plates. This is Sandy's Souvenirs. You can find it near Times Square. It's just a trashy ass store that sells like, you know, little tchotchkes and stuff like that. And if you walk up to this, they actually have the entire racks of personalized license plates.
That's
like
incredible.
Yeah.
That's such a single-use kind of item in a
exactly.
game.
Great little detail.
Love
Next. Baseball diamonds that no one in their right mind would ever play on because they're covered in syringes and broken glass and look like filth.
I couldn't even tell what that was at first.
Yeah, most people can't, and that's why no one plays on it, as you can see by no one playing on it.
All right.
Next. Weird stands that sell awful tchotchkes, 2 for $5, and also, I think, crackers or boxed milk. These are available like sort of on the outskirts of the city. People set up these folding tables and just sell junk. Max and I walked into a flea market in New York City 2 years ago and just bummed around for a little bit, and it's cool that they just have these here. And next, people falling asleep on you on the subway. One of the most New York things ever, people getting a little too close to you on public transportation. So those are some of our favorite details that you can find, and New Yorkers will appreciate in SpiderMan for PS4, available right now, or soon.
Now, we just ran down a bunch of things in New York that are, iconic that Spider-Man gets right. One thing might be very noticeably absent, which is, of course, pizza.
Pizza.
Everyone knows that New York and pizza go together hand in hand. Anybody who's talked to you for more than 5 minutes has probably discussed pizza and or New York. That's sort of your spirit animal.
That's my whole thing, right? And so I have this this awesome Marvel Legends action figure of Spider-Man that comes with a little pizza slice. It's one of my favorite toys of Spider-Man ever.
That comes with an alternate head where his mouth is out too, right?
Yeah, and he can pull up his mask and eat
fitting.
pizza. New York and pizza go hand in hand, and Spider-Man and New York go hand in hand. So all of these things come together for this game, which is really, really awesome. There are a lot of pizza references in Spider-Man for PS4.
Now this is a little bit of a spoiler.
Yeah,
there's a major story mission where you have to rescue the pizza.
It's not
real.
real.
You have to save the pizza, but it's very tragic because you only save one slice.
Yeah, the puddles have gotten smaller, but the slices have gotten bigger. New York. So let's run through some of our favorite pizza places in Spider-Man for PS4. Again, this is no spoilers or anything. This doesn't really get into anything. But during one of the story missions, you actually see some pizza. For the most part, you actually don't see any characters eating pizza, which is a little disappointing because I always thought New York City was like the beginning of Turtles 2, where everyone's eating pizza. But in the meantime, let's look at some great pizza references in Spider-Man for PS4. Number one. It's in the back of this dumpster. This is one of the only times in the game you see a full or almost full pie being thrown out with this teddy bear. This looks like a sad night, and I feel bad.
What went wrong?
Well, obviously something wrong with the pizza because no one ate it.
I think they call this environmental storytelling.
Yes, yeah. And
yeah, I think this is a date. This is a broken relationship right here.
This is, yeah.
Someone's having a nice can of Swilco, and maybe the bear was a gift.
Yeah, this is a bummer. So here's actually the only full sort of close to full pizza you can see in New York City. They probably ordered some bad toppings and it got thrown out.
Pizza box is also a little. It looks like an iPhone box.
It does.
That's very weird.
Very odd.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Next, some of the restaurants in Manhattan just say pizza, which I think is pretty spot on because this game actually has a really great attention for detail for coming up with names for fake establishments. But this one's just called Pizza.
This looks like a good place to go to get pizza.
It really does. People always ask me, where do I get pizza when I'm in New York City? I say, number one, John's Pizza. But number two, and that's John's on Bleecker, by the way, not the one in Times Square. But number two, a lot of the pizza places in New York City are just kind of no frills, hole in the wall pizza places where it's 2 slices for $5 and they throw in a can of Coke or a bottle of water.
Yells at you. It's great.
It's awesome. You can't be slow. You got to get through the store real fast and eat. So this is a great pizza place. You can tell people are eating outside of it, even though the windows are so filthy that they're fogged out.
That's probably from all the cooking they're doing inside. It fogs them up with the grease.
Next. $1 New York Pizza. Okay, so I'm torn on this one because this feels really touristy. Right now there's a big movement in Manhattan for a pizza chain called Two Brothers. Two Brothers sells like these very yeasty pies that are like just $5 for like a whole pie. It's just...
Don't say yeasty pie.
You can say it. The slices are like $1 each. You can go in there like 3 o'clock in the morning, blacked out drunk, and get whatever you want. It's a good deal. That said, this feels a little touristy. I would stay away from this spot specifically.
I feel like you're still going to get a good slice here. It's just going to be too expensive.
Yeah, I mean, if you're from like the middle of nowhere, you're going to get a good pizza slice here. But like if you want to get a little snobby with it, keep looking. Next. Pizza on the corner. I don't know.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know about this one.
I'm torn on this one. This feels like some dude from California moved to New York City because he saw the pizza movement was booming, and he's like, I want to get on the ground floor of this and sell some pizza. I'm just like your regular pizza on the corner. I love pizza. And then people try it out, and they're like, nah, dude, that's not.
Yeah, they got like $9 Peronis. Like this is, I don't know.
Broccoli.
Yeah, no, I don't trust it.
Get out of here with that silly nonsense. Next. This is one of the items you find in the game called Pizza Amigos.
Now, this is a little bit of a spoiler because the Pizza Amigos do show up later in the game and you have to fight them.
Not true.
No.
You don't fight the pizza.
No, that's not a Spider-Man.
They cut the Sinister Six out of the game and you have to fight these two tortilla pizza slices, man. I really love this. This is one of the great references in the game. Throughout the game are backpacks, which are hidden everywhere, that belong to Peter Parker. From basically spanning a decade. So this is just a hat. I think he worked at this place for a minute, which is really cool. Yeah. So that's Pizza Amigos. Next. This is a menu for one of his first dates with MJ, and you can actually see some of the prices if you zoom in a little bit. They're pretty good. Like you can get a small pie for $10, which I appreciate. Lots of great topping options. This is a good, authentic Italian joint.
There's even a Peter's special.
Yeah. The menu looks wet.
Peter, Paul, and Mary's. Look at that.
Which is a good sign for a nice old place that's been around for a long time. There's probably some typos on there. That's when you can tell you're at a good pizza place.
I like it.
There we go.
This is, yeah.
They do a Chicago-style crust, which I don't really. I find that confusing as a New York, like as a New York pizza snob.
You know, I want to take a second here. Like so obviously people get worked up about details in games, like the whole thing about the puddles in the E3 trailer versus the actual game. Like it's understandably, people get worked up about things getting changed. But can we take a minute that they had to make a friggin' pizza menu for a Spider-Man game?
It says Peter, Paul, and Mary on it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But like this is a level of detail that we take for granted in video games.
Yeah.
It is absurd that somebody had to go through and be like, I mean, if this didn't look right, it wouldn't look right. But they hired someone to make a pizza menu.
Exactly.
And we're mad that the puddles were misrepresented. Just, anyway.
Next. Authentic NYC pizza. This feels like the biggest tourist trap in the entire game.
Is this near the college?
Yeah.
I feel like this is for like college kids who just moved to the city and they don't know what they're doing. They got like maybe a meal card or something.
This is NYU kids from Kansas come through and they're like, oh, I love a good New York slice. I don't buy this place at all. I think this is nonsense.
No,
This is a
I would
tourist
not
trap.
support this fake restaurant.
Yeah.
Were I able to purchase things from it in the game.
Definitely not. And next, back on toppings.
Fresh X Tasty.
I think this might be good. I think this is a place that started in the 90s by like a deadbeat dad, and he passed the keys to the city onto his son to take over the restaurant for the whole family. And I think these people have never worn a clean shirt in their lives. Many of them are probably my family members. And they're head to toe covered in grease, and they're watching Fox News, and they love making a good big floppy slice.
Yeah, I can
they support the
see that.
FDNY.
Also, I love that you just did that like half-baked like dog backstory, but for a pizza restaurant and video game.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah. All right, so coming up next, pizza places aren't the only places in Spider-Man for PS4. We found a fake GameStop. So if you're familiar with video games, you know that GameStop is obviously the biggest trade store in the world for buying, selling, and trading used games. If you're Canadian, you might know them as EB Games. If you're 70, you know them as Babbage's or Funkoland. But GameStop is one of the biggest video game distributors in the world and a place to buy and trade video games. And there are video game stores in Spider-Man. So we found one, and it's weird because Spider-Man is a video game. And GameStop might be where you go to trade in Spider-Man when you're done with it, or where you traded in stuff to buy Spider-Man.
Obviously, in video games, there's big open world stuff. It's really cool when you can go into buildings, but it's unrealistic to expect that you can go into every building.
Yeah.
But in this case, we went inside.
Yeah,
you can go inside and check it out.
Well, you can get close. We took some creep shots from the outside.
Wait. So you're not actually in there? You're just looking through the window?
I'm looking in. So
you're like peering in there? Oh my god.
So
okay.
just go back real quick. So this place is called Gamer Paradise. That's their take on a controller, which is just weird. It looks like a dog bone. It doesn't even have dual analog, and the asymmetrical D-pad. I'm not wild about this control. The start and select buttons are way too high. You couldn't play Spider-Man with this.
Yeah, you couldn't. That's not a great controller.
But it's called Gamer Paradise. Let's take a look inside the store. All right, so this is starting to look a little bit more like a GameStop or like a Tower Records right before it went out of business. I want to point out there are game consoles in the back of this store, and it looks kind of like a white Xbox One.
Yeah, what the heck is that?
But with like a Dreamcast controller.
Oh,
so
weird.
Isn't that weird? And cool thing too, this store sells Spider-Man dolls.
Oh,
so
man,
it looks like a Vita. It's the controller has a screen on it.
This is where it gets confusing.
Yeah.
Does Xbox exist in a PlayStation exclusive?
Who knows? Maybe.
Zoom out a little bit. Let's
Yeah.
look at those games on the shelves. Along there, enhance.
Yeah.
So those are all what, Blu-rays? Or
So there's Blu-rays. There's
PS4 games, yeah.
They look like, well, you know how GameStop had to start selling movies a couple years ago?
Mm-hmm.
So we actually have some closer shots of that too. So keep going through there. So yeah, there's that console again. Next up we have, so these look like
cigarettes.
Cigarettes or like weird Super Nintendo cartridges. The guy behind the counter where you can buy and sell and trade games, he's got like racks of stuff there. I see another console on the shelf that looks like an Xbox One, right?
Yeah.
It really does. Like it's got the big sort of circular power icon on it.
Huh.
Right?
Yeah. Whoa.
I think they put an Xbox One in Spider-Man
I love
for
that.
PS4.
That's bizarre.
PlayStation exclusive published by Sony.
Huh.
I think somebody's like, hey,
Collusion.
here's a little love to the Xbox. Keep going. I think I got another shot. Okay, so I want to point out some of the games or movies here. We have stuff like, zoom in a little bit, enhance. Sky Sharks, Phobic. It's called like
Knife game?
Kate and Kevin. These games sound bad.
Man.
There's one the red one is called Mystery in the Forest. You can actually find billboards for some of these movies and games around the city too. So yeah, there's a GameStop in this game. Now, one more thing I wanted to point out. In Peter Parker's backpack, in one of the things you find, there's a Vita. Sort of.
Sort of, yeah.
Sort of. So like I said, his backpack spanned 10 years, and so that was probably the last time the Vita got a game. And so here's a Vita right here, kind of, right? Like
It looks like one of those I don't know, Android devices you could put ROMs on. That's like not quite a Vita, but it has the, it's got like a Raspberry Pi in there or something.
GPD 420 or
whatever, yeah.
But it's got a power button, it's got dual analog sticks, which is way better than the Game Paradise logo. It's got a good D-pad, which is more than I can say for Switch. And some good face buttons. Let's check out the back. The back's interesting because it looks like there's spot for an SD SD card, a flap with a kickstand, so it is very Switch-ish, and also 2 slots that look like you would put styluses in them, as we've seen on the Wii U and the 3DS. So what the hell is this?
I'm kind of baffled. I think Polygon actually has a great write-up right now about what kind of phone Spider-Man has, and it seems odd that on like a Sony-developed game that they could have just had like an Xperia or like a Sony phone, because they do make phones, but instead they had this weird like royalty-free phone in the same way that like Sony makes Vitas and PSPs.
Yeah,
they could have totally put one of those in this game, and it wouldn't have been like if it had been cross-platform, that probably would have been a problem. People would have been like, hey, you can't have this in a...
So pop over to the next slide. Let's see what they call it. Portable game device.
Why not just have a Vita?
So they couldn't even call it a Vita. They called it a portable game device. So yeah, that's that. If you don't like your portable game device, head on down to Game Paradise, trade it in, and you can get a brand new copy of Kate and Kevin used.
I don't like that game at all.
No, it's not good.
Okay, so we talk about toys a lot on this show. We have a lot of fun with them. Clearly, we have plenty here. I want to talk about one of the newest waves of Marvel Legends that is all Spider-Man centric for the most part. They were good enough to send these over to us. These are, I think, on store shelves right now. But there's a particular toy I want to talk about. Obviously, you've got House of M Spider-Man. You've got Scarlet Spider Kane Parker. You've got Elektra and her classic appearance. The Doc Ock is wonderful, and good news, he shouldn't be too hard to find because there are 2 of him in every case. Can we get a close-up of him? Zoom in on my Dr. Octopus.
Oh, he's awesome.
My one complaint, though, is that these tentacles are not bendy. Like, they look like they should be, but they're just kind of sculpted.
Yeah, I would have loved if they stuck some wires in there and made it a little easier to pose.
Yeah, like a Gumby.
Because you can't, I don't think you can do one of my favorite poses of Doc Ock, which is where all of his tentacles are on the ground.
I wanted him to walk
holding
around
his
on
body
it.
up. Yeah.
There's also this Daredevil in a black costume who comes with this wonderful, he's got his billy club, but it's like when he uses it to sort of ricochet off of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So it just looks like somebody got mad at like a Bic pen and bent it up a bunch. Apologies for the awkward poses I put these guys in. Obviously, if you're keeping track of Marvel TV shows, you know Cloak and Dagger right now. They just had their first season on Freeform. This is their kind of classic comic appearances. That's a weird kind of comic run. They're very...
These are great toys.
Yeah, they're gorgeously done. Cloak's a little bit rough. You can't really maneuver around his cloak, and underneath he's just kind of a regular dude. One nice touch, though, is that his limbs are a tiny bit translucent. It's pretty hard to tell against a black desk. But,
oh, weird.
Yeah, I forget his powers is he can like turn into shadows or something. I forget.
Yeah.
There's a lot of superheroes. Now these guys are all cool, and if you collect all of them, you get a bunch of pieces to build a figure that I want to talk about really quick. This is Spider. It's hard to pronounce because it's
Can you
spelled
spell that?
SP//DR. And the DR is in lowercase. So this is Spider.
And he is effectively a Spider-Man robot.
He's a Spider-Man robot. He first appeared, this is kind of old news for some people, first appeared in Edge of the Spider-Verse issue 5. Obviously they're building up to this whole idea of there being different dimensions for Spider-Man, but I did a little research and I found out some really awesome stuff about this figure/character. This is basically in this other dimension. It's this kind of anime-informed dimension. This was actually a comic written by Gerard Way of My Chemical Romance, who's gotten very into comics recently. And the issue is full of all these wonderful anime nods. Here's actually a side-by-side shot. This, first of all, the robot was inspired by Evangelion.
Wow.
Like, just straight up. They were like, yeah, man, we made it Ava. The storyline has a bunch of cues tied into Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is a nice touch. In the foreground there, he's actually busting Bato from Ghost in the Shell, who's got the cybernetic implants. But that's kind of not all. He also fights Kaneda from Akira. And there's, when I say he, it's actually she. It's actually Penny Parker, who's like a schoolgirl who just pilots a robot. And if that sounds sort of Evangelion-esque, that's a nice little touch here. They actually they have a ton of random like anime cameos in this comic. Clearly.
Wow.
So like,
oh my God, that's really cool.
Yeah, like this figure when it kind of showed up, like I think they debuted it at Comic-Con last year, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. This. Is like feels like very weird modern comics. I'm not wild about it. It would look like something that Toy Biz would put out in the late '90s.
Yep.
And then digging into it, I'm like, wait a minute. This is Spider-Man Evangelion. This rules. So
obviously, yeah, this information's been out there for a little while, but this is a good time to talk about it because this toy is here now.
Yeah.
And so again, Max, the only way to get this toy is to buy this entire set and put them all and
then
put this
get
card together.
all his legs to pieced together.
Yeah, so like Spider-Man comes with a leg, and Doc Ock comes with an arm, whatever it is.
The build-a-figure formula. But yeah, like I think this is awesome, and also like I'm starting to get kind of excited about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is apparently going to have a bunch of different sort of alternate dimension versions of the Spider-Man, and I really hope this one shows up because it'd be kind of cool to see like a badass CG Evangelion jumping around doing Spider-Man stuff. So those aren't the only Spider-Man toys that are kind of coming out soon. Really it's a disaster here. This is really just a big mess. Obviously, everyone's, in addition to being excited about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Spider-Man on PS4, Venom is on the horizon. And Venom's always been kind of a badass fan favorite. And because of this, he's getting a bunch of new toys. And I want to talk about these right now. This is the Venom wave that Hasbro just put out for Marvel Legends. And we got a bunch of them right here. And this is almost entirely a symbiote wave. We've got, let's see, here is kind of classic Venom, who you were complaining a bit about this, and I want to talk about this because this is totally sticking with, I feel like, the original Venom appearance.
Yeah.
Which, let's be realistic, is kind of dorky. I've got a photo here or not a photo, but an image of Venom's first appearance. He looks like a pervert. Like when he first shows up, he's like, you've read these comics,
oh,
right?
Of course,
yeah, where he's kind of creeping around. It's like,
no, I like him a lot. I just think the toy, I wish they had given him some sort of like some claws. They give him fists, so he just looks like a boxer.
He's
Can
about
we come back to him
he's
here?
about to punch.
He
weird.
comes with an alternate head of Eddie Brock that you can pop off, and also this weird little.
He's got like a collar. I think the idea is that you pop off this head, pop on Eddie Brock's head, which is wonderfully old school design. And his like neck looks a little bit too long, but then if you put this weird lace collar on there, it looks like the alien suit
coming
is
up over his head.
which I think is a really nice touch.
I like that.
Displays much better like that.
Yeah.
And then of course there's the old sort of foil to Venom, which is Carnage, who does come with alternate claws as well as his classic Carnage blood symbiote axe thing. Which
I really like how
loves.
you pose this figure. I think this is cool, and he comes with.
This is a great toy.
Yeah, it
this
really
is a
is.
really good Carnage. And then it comes with a Cletus Cassidy head.
Yep.
So you can push your grandmother down the stairs and then go to jail and hang out with Eddie Brock. And then this one I like. This is Poison. What? That's what happens. That's what that's about. It's what Spider-Man's about. This is Poison, I guess. Who's like a sort of a later edition. It's like an anti-Venom in space kind of thing. Not anti-Venom. That's a different character. I'll be honest. There's too many Venom things going on right now for me to keep track of. And then, of course, there is Scream, who is, I believe, what Bret Michaels sees when he closes his eyes.
Yeah, this is his dream woman.
Oh, man, this is one of the most 90s toys. I love it. So, yeah, she's actually going to be in the Venom movie. Probably not.
What?
Yep, probably not looking exactly like this, but she will be making an appearance there.
Okay.
Now, I think probably my favorite from this wave, but one that's a lot of people are mad about, Peter Porker, the Spider-Ham, which is a very tiny figure who actually comes with, obviously these are all Build-A-Figure, they all come with a piece of a larger figure. Unfortunately, it's a very larger figure. It is this giant, awesome, badass Venom.
Damn.
Yeah, which
rules.
is great, and I really wish that they would just kind of put this out on its own, because I know a lot of people are going to want this toy.
And so we talk about Build-A-Figs a lot on the show. This one's interesting because his torso is so large.
Yeah.
And we've done Apocalypse, Juggernaut, so many ones. His torso is so large that his
toy.
back actually comes in. You have to buy two separate figures just to build his torso.
Here. I love that. But yeah, basically part of the reason that Peter Porker is so little is that he comes with this giant torso, but he also comes with a Venom Spider-Ham head.
Yeah, and that's what's the cool thing about these figures is their heads pop off and you can swap them around and do horrible stuff like this. Hey everyone, it's me.
Hey, do you guys remember Biker Mice from Mars? Well, they're back and they've got a gritty new reinvention. That's just awful.
This is the worst.
It's terrible.
Yeah, this guy looks like a leprechaun.
Yeah, cool thing is I
just
believe
horrible.
you can also do this. You can make Eddie Brock, and he's really got his cool head. So
Oh wow,
yeah.
that rules.
If you can grab all these toys, you get this awesome Venom figure. But if not, you got to go on eBay and screw around, which is sort of annoying. But maybe it'll show up in like a limited release at some point later on. But yeah, this Venom is so cool. This is definitely much more in line with his sort of later iterations, which I love. Not the pig though. I don't think that one works.
Will you marry me?
I thought you'd never ask. We didn't even touch on Typhoid Mary. She's going to be showing up in Iron Fist Season 2.
Yep.
I'm just going to say it. I'm so sick of the Netflix shows just being cheap with the costumes. Like,
yeah.
you watch all of the first season of Daredevil, and I get it, it's an origin, but like, they're superheroes. Like, maybe just have a little more fun with the outfits. Like Iron Fist has a great costume. They just had like, you know, Danny and just like, he's just in sweatpants for most of the time. Anyway, yeah, those are our toys. We've been talking a lot about Spider-Man, which is great. Everyone loves Spider-Man, but some people like Batman better. And that's okay too. Batman's great. DC Collectibles actually just sent us a bunch of really cool Batman statues, which are coming out soon. They are super duper limited edition. These are the black and white versions of the Hainanu Nuligan Salk is an artist who does some very kind of creative reinterpretations of beloved Bat characters, and they're being released in kind of two versions. There's a color version, which is going to be a run of 3,000 figures. These are $40 a pop. They're vinyl figures. Let's see if I can. Oh, I should have brought a knife. Do I have a knife? I don't have a knife. Oh man. Yeah. Well, can we skip? Do you have a knife on you?
I don't have a knife on me now.
Alexia's got a knife. Someone's getting me a knife. This is a live show. We don't. Thank you. Jordan brought a knife. All right. So they're great. They're great statues if you can get them out of the packaging. There you go. All right.
Here we go.
Okay.
God, get this out of here.
I need it to open the packages.
Who gave this to you? Crocodile Dundee? This is crazy.
That is a knife, in the words of Crocodile Dundee. Okay.
Jordan carries his knife everywhere?
It's legal? What do you want? You someone's mom?
A sword delivered here. He unboxed a sword in the middle of the
Nice. What did you use to unbox it? Okay, anyway. There's two kinds of people in the world. There's people who carry knives, and there's people who go, "Good Lord, you have a knife?" Normally, I have a knife, and Brian gets scared of it, but it's sitting on my desk.
I don't trust
the other desk, not this desk.
With most things, man. Why would
Let's take a breather. Let me just open these figures.
Okay, we're doing good so far.
Are you reading the chat at all? You checking the comments?
Not even remotely.
Not even. Who would dare check that?
I was looking at Twitter. Everybody's doing good. They're really happy.
I on Twitter in 2018. I don't believe you for 1 second. Mm-hmm. All right. Can you vamp or something?
Of course.
Talk about your vacation, or what you had for breakfast.
I haven't taken a vacation in a while.
Jordan, you gotta sharpen this dude. This is dull as hell. You're gonna hurt somebody.
See, it's not good to have a knife.
If I cut myself open on the show, it's gonna be weird. Okay. God, it's not like regular twisties or anything either. That's like really hard to get out. All right. Let's try that again. Let's just try that again from the top and pretend it worked fine and everything went perfectly.
Here we go.
Oh, come on. There's little playing cards. They're taped down. Get these things out of here. Don't laugh at me.
Why?
What? All right, we got the figures. Here they are. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you. I don't know how they.
Do you want to do
just
a clean intro to this part?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Let me get all this stuff ready. Get it all lined up so I can pretend that this never happened.
So in a couple of seconds, Max is gonna he's gonna restart the whole. I'm
gonna pretend that nothing
you just
ever went
wrong on the video, and it's gonna be like. So we also got some new toys this week around Batman, and they're really interesting, and he's going to do that. But in the meantime, we can't do all the parts that we did already because it's just real. There was the dull knife and then the cards. It was great. I thought it was a good time personally because I generally enjoy laughing at the expense of others. But
okay, all right, let's try that again.
Ready?
So DC Collectibles. Hold on, I wasn't right.
One more time. Do it. Do the thing where the. Okay, here we go.
Three,
the star wipe.
3, 2. DC Collectibles sent us some great new figures based on some wonderful artwork by this guy named Hainanu Nuligan Salk. These are $40 a pop, limited edition run of 500 for black and white versions, and they're definitely not your kind of typical versions of Batman. Obviously, we've seen a lot of creative reinterpretations of the Joker and Harley Quinn over recent years, but it's kind of great to see Batman wearing some tube socks and sneakers. I'm into this. Some people maybe not so much, but they're $40 a pop, which is pretty manageable for some like cool things to have on your desk. The black and white ones are, it's a run of 500. You can get them, I think, on the DC Direct or DC Collectibles website and a couple other dealers online. But the ones that should be easier to track down are also the color versions, which I have a photo of right here on my laptop.
Wow.
I really love the black and white stuff that DC does.
Yeah.
That's like an ongoing thing. Like this is, I don't know, this stuff's like actually cool, I feel like. You could put this in an adult apartment and it wouldn't look too out of place. You know, depending on the designs, obviously.
Yeah. So Batman over here is ripped. They did an amazing job on his muscles. They just kind of pop out. But his legs are really skinny. Like he skipped leg day and it's really funny because he just looks like he's got this very awkward teen vibe, which I think is wonderful, but he's just scowling.
That's Batman, though. Look at that.
Yeah.
I actually. What is that?
Henry Cavill's legs are supposed to be real skinny too. Right?
Oh
Does
yeah.
Henry Cavill has small legs? IGN reports. I don't actually know about that. Look at his weird backwards knees.
I like his Converse.
Yeah, they've been doing DC's been doing a bunch of this stuff, and I wish that more companies would get on this. Like, I wish that we got like weirder stuff out of Marvel. We don't really.
This is a very Greg Miller thing here too. The Converse and the Batman together in one figure.
I might give this to Greg. This is that's kind of.
You're getting a good gift, Greg.
Yeah, we're gonna send
Keep
you
it
a
locked.
present.
And over here we have Harley.
Yeah,
and she
she also has sneakers.
What I love is what they did with her baseball bat. It's got this big fat end. Like there's a lot of just very hyper stylized, caricatured stuff here.
So cool.
Yeah, they did a great job with their shoes.
Yeah,
and the Joker.
Yeah, who's got his playing cards, which is like
double chain wallet day too, so he doesn't want to get robbed at all. Look at that nose.
Those are actually suspenders. That's a hot look.
Double chain
for the
wallet.
alternative crowd. You just pull your suspenders out of your pants and you walk around with them looped around your legs, like that, like an off-duty fireman.
It's got Mickey Mouse hands.
Good look. Yeah.
Look at that nose.
Can't say Mickey Mouse in a DC video. That's a Disney property.
It's like my nose.
What are you doing?
I have a big
that
nose.
Doesn't look anything like you.
Okay.
He looks like a bird. Anyway.
You're still upset about the packaging stuff from before.
I hurt my finger, not on the knife, but on this this stuff is really hard. It's like
you know what they call that in the biz? That was a snafu.
That's not a snafu. No, it's not.
Yeah.
You know what that stands for? You know what snafu stands for?
No.
Situation normal, all effed up. It's a military thing. Here, I got you a hat. Yeah, true story. I don't know. I read that in like a page-a-day calendar. I have no idea if it's true or not.
I don't think that's true at all.
You're like logged out of your laptop.
Yeah. Well, I was here making fun of you for a while.
Thanks for that. I really appreciate it. So we actually I think we're about done with the bulk of the show.
We have that package.
We do have the package. We had a very big package delivered to the IGN offices. This is a good. I don't know why I made a segue. In industry terms, a package is like a video that you roll into a larger video.
Yeah.
We say that all the time, and amazingly more innuendos don't happen. But we got a big package delivered to the office. You know what I'm talking about? Which was the Lego Cloud City set that actually comes out the beginning of next month. And I built it. It took forever. It had a lot of pieces. It's really cool, and we got to play with it and talk about it. Let's take a look. Hello everybody, Max Scoville here with Brian Altano for IGN, and we have something very cool. It is just every kid's dream come true. This is a gigantic Lego set based on like the second half of The Empire Strikes Back. This is a $349 set. It comes out October 1st. It is 2,812 pieces.
My God.
And I think it has, I don't even know how many minifigs. The instruction manual, for context, is almost 400 pages long.
Yeah. So what's this set called, Matt?
This is called Betrayal at Cloud City.
Okay, so you're correct in assuming this is effectively the second half of The Empire Strikes Back, or everything from Cloud City / Bespin on. It's got some of the most iconic scenes from the rest of that movie, sort of captured in one place. And I think it's interesting because it's a really cool mix of kind of the best stuff that Lego does with Star Wars vehicles and also minifigs and also dioramas. And together, I would say it's more of like a play set than like
definitely
a
play set.
display piece.
Yeah,
right?
I think we've seen a lot of sort of collector grade stuff. There's obviously the UCS series, which is made for like, here are these big, huge, super detailed versions of Star Wars ships. We saw that record-breaking Millennium Falcon set. This is much more of like, this reminds me of old kind of castle or pirate sets where it was like, this is like a funky island basically. At a glance, it doesn't even look like Cloud City, but it has wonderful amounts of detail here. It has a lot of like goofy little action features, and you can recreate your favorite scenes from Empire. It does actually come with two separate vehicles. There's the twin pod Cloud Car, which some people consider the worst ship in Star Wars, as well as
I think it's
two little pilots who fit in here. They're exactly the same.
It's really cute.
Actually, one of them has a mustache. They're actually very different. And you can park that right here in the garage. And then, of course, there's one of my personal favorite ships. There's Boba Fett Slave One, which is a brand new design. This is a kind of a really funky scale because it's not quite. Obviously, it's not as big as like the full scale one they put out a while ago.
Yeah.
And it's nowhere near sort of the original Lego Slave One. It's kind of teeny.
I love it.
But
it's a really nice kind of like minimalist boiled down version of the classic Slave One design. And you can go and you can buy the very expensive dedicated Slave One kit.
If you can track it down,
You can track it down and get one of these. It's like this big. But this is a really smart way to sort of incorporate vehicles into this set.
It's got its whole sort of landing platform over here. This is sort of a difficult set to show off, so please bear with us. But this whole thing, this landing platform actually comes off pretty easily. This is definitely not a portable set. I'm not really sure where you'd put it if you don't have like a large kind of play surface. But in addition to that, it also has another sort of iconic device from The Empire Strikes Back, which is the carbon freezing chamber, which also kind of comes off on its own. And that has a really fun little action feature where there's this whole lever. Han goes in and comes out in carbonite, and you can click him out. And in the words of Boba Fett, put Captain Solo in the cargo hold.
Oh, so he fits right in there.
Clicks right in there. I love that.
That's great.
So on top of that, they also have the torture chamber where you can kind of, not ask Han any questions and put him in that weird electric chair thing. All of the doors open. Some of them slide back and forth, and some of them have this fun little sort of drawbridge apparatus where you can make them go, like space doors.
So there's a lot of little action features here too. Yeah. I dig the bridge section here, where obviously the most iconic scene in the entire movie happens. Luke finds out that his dad is garbage.
Yep. Yep. Really, really,
great.
very
it's not a great
touching
moment
scene.
for him. And you can see on his face, on that minifig, he's just like.
They've got the
it's
wonderful
a hard realization.
sort of modern minifigs also that I think does this whole thing come off?
Also,
I'm
a cool
not sure
thing,
if it
if you take Darth Vader out of this set and you just see Luke here, it just looks like he screwed up.
Area Man gets stuck on weather vane.
Yeah, it's not great.
No, it's pretty cool. There was actually there's the Legos like Lego Ideas sort of Kickstarter platform where people crowdsource ideas, and for a while there was this one that was really in demand, which was this entire section kind of as its own kit, and that has since been sort of incorporated into this one. And I'm sure like some sort of purists and sort of higher end collectors maybe won't be so into this because it doesn't really display as well as sort of larger playsets we've seen like the Death Star. From a distance looks like the Death Star. The Falcon obviously rolls up really well. This is definitely more toyetic.
It's sort of like if you took the top off of Cloud City, this is what it would look like sort of as a die cut. One of my favorite scenes in this entire kit is right over here. This is the weird Ugnaught droid deconstruction room or whatever it is.
I really love this, and it's got the sliding door. Chewie can come in and lose his mind.
He gets really mad because they took C-3PO, they tore him into parts, and then the Wookiee had to carry him in like
I'm not sure
mesh backpack.
I'm not sure if the
odd.
Ugnaught is a new figure or not. One thing that's a really nice bit of fan service, there's even an IG-88 that you can prop up right next to the incinerator. If you've watched Empire enough times, you know that there is an IG unit in the background there, though whether or not that is IG-88B or IG-72 is open to interpretation.
Yeah, the whole kit in general comes with like a dozen or so minifigs, so it's really cool.
It's kind of crazy.
We've got these two Cloud City guards here. Again, one of them has a mustache, one of them doesn't. That seems to be the pairing theme here.
I think you can actually rotate the heads to really double check that. There's actually two Leias. There's one who's in sort of the formal outfit, and there's one who's wearing the escaped vest.
Yep.
I don't think that's what it's called.
They do a really good job of the sort of, there's a Lando as well, who's just awesome. You can't make Cloud City without Lando, that's his jam.
You know what's crazy is there's even a mini Cloud City within Cloud City.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
So one of my favorite pieces in this whole set is the chandeliers. I don't know if you can see them here. They're made from like Aquazone harpoons hanging upside down on the wall.
Yep.
This has a huge number of pieces, and a lot of that I think just goes into sort of the architectural decoration.
I like this like dentist waiting room they have in here where Leia's kind of hanging out with this crystal vase and these two floor chairs and this nice plant in the corner.
Just all of the tacky 70s art.
But honestly, my favorite part in the entire kit is the kitchen. It's this beautiful decorative kitchen where Darth Vader and friends were about to sit down.
It's like a dining room.
Well, it's like a dining room, and they're ready to have like a nice...
They're not like making sandwiches and stuff in there.
They might be.
I don't think. No, have you seen the film? They're like sitting around at the table set. That is a dining room, my friend.
I keep meaning to watch Star Wars.
It's not a kid. You should check it out. It's a great film.
Do you want to get hung up on this thing for the rest of the video? All right, it's a dining room. I love the dining room in this set because it shows that awesome moment where Darth Vader is sitting here and he's like, "It's going to be a great dinner," and then Han Solo comes in and just shoots him.
Yeah, that's a great way to really not hit it off with your girlfriend's father is to do that. But you can also, I don't know, if you want to envision sort of a happier version of Empire, you can play house and you can have Lando and Leia and they'll hang out and they're just having snacks together, having a nice party. Like,
as one does in a kitchen.
What if that's how Empire ended? What if it wasn't a sad movie and he's like, I think you should all come and have some entertainment up in the clouds, and then they just have like a nice buffet? That would be wonderful.
Also, what you could do, and this would be very difficult, is you could hang this set from your ceiling ceiling, and you could take Luke Skywalker here and put him on a little thing and hang him underneath, because that's how that movie ends. He's underneath and he's crying and he does the Force stuff with his sister girlfriend.
I think this is supposed to be the weather vane he clips off of. I like that it's made from like a medieval like pitchfork. There's a lot of great pieces in here. There's one thing that's really like, there's that whole sequence where Luke is going through all of Cloud City, and he's creeping around in all these tubes and like weird vents and stuff, and they managed to even capture some of that here. There's that iconic window he just gets blown backwards out of, and this whole thing flips out for that. Anyway, this is an incredible play set, and it is seriously like it's my personal inner child dreams come true to build it. It took me, I think, about 6 hours on my own to build it. It is a substantial kind of project to take on, and again, it is not a cheap set. It is $349. So huge thanks to LEGO for sending that over to us. I could not afford this, but yeah, it's very, very cool. So obviously, this is going to be a hit with a lot of Star Wars LEGO collectors.
Yep. Great Boba Fett minifig too.
Yeah, that's
really
a
cool.
good one. That one's easier to track down if you need it, but. Anyway.
So yeah, that's the set. It'll take you a while to build, and then you'll have to find somewhere to display it.
That's the hard part.
That's the trickiest part. But it's out now.
It is out October 1st, $349. It is Betrayal at Cloud City. There's 2,812 pieces. That's it. Boba Fett, take it away.
About a third of them go directly into the building of that kitchen. That beautiful, beautiful
It's a dining room.
Darth Vader's famous kitchen. Ow. That was one in my mouth. And we're back. That was just a good,
so much
good
fun.
time.
I love this. I love that we get to do this. Thank you all for joining us and hanging out, letting us
Seriously.
talk about toys and watch me try to open packages and have a very bad time. Before we go, I have one really very special announcement that I'd like to make.
What?
Brian has a favorite Pokemon.
Oh, I do, yeah.
Yep.
His
And
name
it's,
is Mudvayne or whatever. And he's a horse.
Brian comes up to me the other day and he goes, "Hey, I saw that horse Pokemon." I go,
Yeah.
"What?" And he goes,
Look at this.
You know, Mudvayne.
This is a depressed donkey.
This is
and,
Mudbray.
And he's got like a woman's hairdo. I love him
Feet
or
look
her
like
or
melted
it
ice cream.
so
He's got
much.
a samurai haircut.
Anyway, on a more serious note, we are here at IGN. We are hosting EA's live stream. It's a tribute to the Jacksonville shooting victims. That is 1:30 today, so in like 25 minutes, and that will run for 2 hours, rolling right into Nintendo Voice Chat, where you'll get to see me again talking about Nintendo games live. So stick around, watch all that, go order some food, and just support people. Be good.
Be good to each other,
Yeah.
and I hope you have a wonderful weekend after we get that stupid Friday out of the way.
3:30 what?
Thanks for watching. This is Up and New. We do this every week. We'll see you next week, guys. Take care.
Bye.